Welcome back to this course, Introduction to Careers in the Field of Information Technology. This course is a presentation of coding boot camps. The Essential Practical Career Roadmap for IT Professionals. This is session 2, Web Design and Development Topics and Jobs. So far, what we have learned is we've had our introduction to the IT field. Our topics for this session: overview of web design and development, popular job titles, job functions, languages and frameworks, and content management systems, and we're going to have a summary. So here are some key terminologies. Front end versus back end. The front end tends to be what the user is using, such as the browser. The back end tends to be remote, connected usually over the internet or some network, and that is where the processing and the data is processed. The user interface is the user side, quite often the web browser, often abbreviated to UI. User experience, or UX, is the features the user interacts with and the value the user gets. There is a course. Please consult your learning materials. You can take a course with us on UX, client side versus scripter sides. Client side typically means that there is code, there is processing on the client side or on the user's computer versus server-side scripting. The big difference here is logic is still being processed, user input is still being processed. However, though, if there is client-side processing, it tends to be a lot faster because it does not have to send information back and forth over the network. So libraries versus frameworks. So libraries tend to be reusable sections of code, whereas frameworks are just guidelines for creating applications. And static versus dynamic content is where a website is strictly just the images and the text that you see. There is no way to interact with it with the user. There is very limited search. Whereas dynamic involves some kind of a database or updating of data, and users can interact with it, make requests, get response, and get a processed response. Some key terminologies: full stack web development. So that is essentially a set of technologies for web development. Web versus mobile application development. Often the architecture is very, very similar between web and mobile. There are exceptions to that. However, there is a remote processor, a remote server, and a remote database for both. And one is obviously used with say some kind of a computer or laptop. That is the web development. And mobile app development has the user interface pre-constructed for the mobile device. Java versus JavaScript. Java is an object-oriented programming language, whereas JavaScript is typically a browser-based scripting language that provides updating of content, checking for fields. It runs locally in the browser and works to enhance the application and the user experience. And content management systems, or CMSs, like WordPress, these are almost like templates where you can insert content such as text and images and use that for building a web page that will be available to others on the internet. There are many job titles. Some of the most popular ones are front-end web developer. That has to do with really creating features that the user can interact with, valuable features that the user will want to use or the user needs. Web designer, design of the website, so the pages and what services are available to the user. Full stack developer, again, are a set of technologies that developers will use to develop web and mobile applications. WordPress and Joomla. These are all examples of frameworks or ecosystems or templates that you can simply make use of and add content to speed your development, and also to ease the burden of development. So you can really attach a lot of information and follow a template, so you don't have to be a web programmer to develop a web page or a web application. A web analyst actually is involved in designing, understanding the needs of the market, understanding the technology, how that technology will serve the user. UX and UI developer certainly works on the user interface. Those are how the user will interact with the features, what the user is looking for, develop those features to make sure they are working and they are delivering on the needs of the customer. And a technical consultant are usually, it's very, very specialized skills that are not always needed. So when it's time, a technical consultant comes in for a period of time and is paid for the time that he or she is on site and delivers the expertise. And when the consultant's no longer needed, the consultant exits. So to be a web developer, you need not have a major in computer science. Even a college degree, not even a college degree is required. For most web development jobs, experience outweighs academic degrees or college credentials. Some web developers' responsibilities are writing well-defined, testable, efficient code by using good or best practices for software development, creating website layout interfaces by using standard HTML and CSS practices. So these are actually browser-based computing languages here that build our web pages, integrating the data from the back end and the services from the back end, and building these HTML and CSS pages using that data, and to gather and refine the user and the business requirements, and then understanding how to deliver those requirements in a technical way. Some web developer responsibilities: create and maintain software documentation. This is obviously very important because the whole enterprise has to know what was done and how to maintain it. Be responsible for maintaining, expanding, and scaling up the site. We want a successful site that grows and grows in the number of customers in the market, and stay on top of emerging technologies, industry trends, and apply them into the operations and activities of the organization. So obviously improve yourself, train, learn new technologies and how to apply them, and cooperate with web designers to match the visual experience and to design the features as they are intended or as they are wanted by the market and as they are wanted to be delivered by the designers. Here are some web programming languages. So HTML and CSS. These are, HTML is the language behind the web browser, and CSS is the formatting. It stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It's the fonts. It is the type of text, colors, and other things that format our web pages. And there are advancements in HTML5 and CSS3. So these are based on HTML and CSS. However, they are much more advanced, they have much more advanced capabilities. JavaScript, and you can take an Intro to JavaScript class. There are classes available for all of these, so please consult your learning materials. Introduction to what they call NoSQL database design. So MongoDB is an example of that. NoSQL is a very efficient and fast way to store and process data, and it's different from a relational database which actually uses tables. So again, this is becoming very, very popular. NoSQL databases are becoming very popular, and this is a very good course. PHP is a scripting language used to process dynamic web pages. So users deliver requests in the form of input, and PHP can process that input and build and return a page back to the user with the results. And MySQL is a database, and it is often paired with PHP. So you can learn both SQL programming for MySQL, and you can also learn web development with PHP. And here are some popular frameworks, again, with some classes that are offered. So Node.js or Express.js. Node.js is very, very similar, if not identical, to JavaScript, except it runs on the server side, so it is remote from the user. Angular JS is another JavaScript type of framework. So all of these are that, you can see the JS there, are different types of JavaScript frameworks. So please take a look at these classes. I highly recommend them. And then also Bootstrap Web Design with Bootstrap, which are a set of technologies and tools for web design. And some popular content management systems. WordPress, and here's some information. Joomla, so you can take an introduction here to Joomla, and Drupal, and an introduction to Drupal. So here is our summary. So this is what we learned. We had an overview of web design and development, popular job titles, job functions, and then we talked about languages, frameworks, and content management systems. Our next section is software engineering topics and jobs. Again, please consult your learning materials for these classes. Introduction to HTML, different versions of HTML and CSS, different levels as well. Introduction to JavaScript. And again, using JS with jQuery, JSON, and AJAX. So all of these, again, are web development frameworks. So please take a look at all of these classes. And here are some more classes: PHP, Node.js with MongoDB, PHP and object-oriented programming. PHP and MySQL would be a very good class. I highly recommend that one. Web design with WordPress and WordPress customization, and introduction to Joomla. And also, please, these introduction to these CMS systems as well. Please look at all of these courses. All of them, any one of them is very, very useful and worthwhile taking. So thank you for watching this video on web design, a presentation of Coding Boot Camps, and we'll see you in the next session.